Hi, this is Kath Gammack, Rig Market Analyst with Westwood Global Energy, with a snapshot of the offshore rig market over the past week. Ultra-deepwater drillship Valaris DS-11 has had its contract with Equinor terminated. The operator exercised its early termination rights under the contract. As a recap, the rig was initially contracted by TotalEnergies back in July 2021. However, when the operator withdrew from the 8-well North Platte deepwater project in the US Gulf of Mexico in February, the rig contract was novated to Equinor. The term was estimated to last for 1,280 days and kick off in July 2024. Under the contractual obligations, Valaris will receive an early termination fee, which is more than sufficient to cover all spend already committed to. The rig is currently located in Las Palmas. A few new contracts have been awarded or confirmed in the past week. Confirmation that ONGC has awarded a contract for the provision and operation of ultra-deepwater drillship Polaris. The scope of work will cover drilling in the KG-DWN-98/2 Cluster 2 offshore India. Commencement is scheduled for the fourth quarter and set to last around 270 days. The rig has lain idle in Sri Lanka since early 2021. However, it will soon mobilise to Malaysia, where it will undergo reactivation and upgrades. Such upgrades include installing the necessary pipework for future use of a managed pressure drilling system. Vantage Drilling manages the rig for ONA Aquadrill Offshore. In the UK, i3 Energy has entered into a contract with Petrofac for well engineering, operations management and operator services for a 3-year period. With this contract in place, it has allowed i3 to tap into an existing rig contract with Stena Drilling for the use of midwater semi Stena Dawn. The rig will carry out drilling of i3's Serenity appraisal well in Block 13/23C, which is expected to last for around 30 days within a commencement window between mid-August and mid-September. Down in Southeast Asia, industry sources advise that jack-up PV drilling VI will be going imminently to work for VSP. The rig has just arrived in Vung Tau following demobilisation from ENI's location in Block 115/09. However, is now scheduled to be at VSP's location in the next week or so. This work will fill the gap prior to its next commitment with Premier Oil Vietnam. That work is expected to commence mid-July and last for around 3 to 4 months, meaning the rig could be available October or November, unless future work is secured. The Petroleum Safety Authority Norway has issued a couple of consents for exploration drilling in the North Sea. Namely, Neptune Energy has been given permission to drill wells 35/6-3S and 35/6-3A using Odfjell managed midwater semi deep sea Yantai. Water depth at the location is around 1,129 feet. The rig has FIM commitments, however there is a hole in the schedule that pertains to an option. If the option is exercised, the rig will be fully occupied through to year end. Further options exist on the back end of the firm term, which, if exercised, could take availability out to mid-2023. ConocoPhillips has received permission to drill the Bounty prospect, well 6306/3-2, in production licence 935. Water depth at the location is 702 feet and will be drilled by ultra-deepwater semi Transocean Norge. This well will be the third under its 4-firm well contract with the operator. Depending on actual well durations, the rig could be available in September. However, if the options are exercised, it will be into December. Staying in the North Sea, Aker BP has made a minor oil and gas discovery at the Overlay prospect, well 2/8-19. The well was drilled by ultra-harsh environment jackup Maersk Invincible. The size of the discovery is placed at between 0.6 and 1.9 million standard cubic metres of recoverable oil equivalent. The licensees will now assess the discovery with regards to potential further delineation. With the well having been permanently plugged and abandoned, the rig has headed inshore to Grena, Denmark, where it will undergo a special periodic survey as well as implementing hybrid low-emission upgrades prior to commencing its next assignment with Aker BP at Ivar Aasen, which is scheduled to kick off in September. The operator has the rig firmly committed until May 2027. Further afield in Gabon, Valco has announced successful drilling of the South Chibala 1HB-ST development well from the Avuma platform in the nearby Etam field by bore drilling jackup Norv. Valco said the well discovered significant columns of multiple hydrocarbon-bearing sands in the Den tail, potentially adding new future drilling locations in the deep Den tail trend across the Etam block. Upon completion of drilling activities, this could be the final well for the rig, unless Valco exercises the remaining 2 one-well options. If exercised, the rig would only have a brief respite before commencing the BW Energy scope of work in the Roche field, also offshore Gabon. That programme consists of 4 firm wells plus 4 one-well options. Big news for Shell in the UK is receiving consent for its Jackdaw development. As a recap, OPRED rejected Shell's original environmental statement back in October 2021, however has completed its review of the amended statement submitted in March, and on the back of this review, the Secretary of State has granted permission. However, there are conditions attached to the consent. Such conditions pertain to minimisation of the mass of CO2 vented offshore and extracted from the produced gas, as far as reasonably practicable. As previously reported, Shell will use a jackup to drill the 4 Jackdaw wells. At this point in time, the operator has 5 one-well options remaining under its contract with Valaris for the provision and operation of jackup Valaris 122. And finally this week, jackup Noble Houston Colbert was loaded onto the heavy lift vessel Seaway Osprey and is heading to Qatar, where Qatar Gas will keep the rig busy from August for around 3.5 years. That's it for this week. Thanks for listening, and I hope you found this of interest. For more information on rig logics, visit our website www.westwoodenergy.com.